What's up, y'all? We back again for another episode of Beyond the Wall. I have with me my special guest, Doyle. Doyle, give it up. How you doing, man?
Good. I'm doing good.
I'm just so honored to be here with you today because you are this is history. I mean, you got Clemency from Governor Ducey.
Yes, sir.
You served the longest. So you're the oldest surviving person who was formerly incarcerated. You did 53 years.
That's right.
Brother, I don't even want to say what that's like. I can't even imagine. And it's interesting because I represent the time you got locked up because I was born in 1969. Mm-hmm. So looking at me is like a life presentation of how long you was locked up. Brother, I mean, what do you want to say to the people? What do you want to say?
That kind of experience, I wouldn't want nobody to go through all that.
Exactly.
But that's what I went through. It is not just for me now, I understand that. It's for other people.
Yes, sir.
For me to, speak with them and try to give them some kind of wisdom there at that point. Mm-hmm. That if they are doing things wrong, that their life could change because they don't want this type of life that I done had to survive in prison. Because we know that prison, you don't live in there, you survive in there.
Exactly.
And that's very hard and harsh at times,
Yes, sir.
And I went in there when I was 20. And all of that time, 70s, 80s, 90s, the 2000, 2010, 20, all my life was in there.
Wow.
Yeah, all my life was in there. But in the process of that, I learned from everybody that I was coming in contact with, because you have people from all walks of life that come through that. Yeah. You have the rich, you have the middle class, you have the poor.
Yeah.
Everybody ended up there at the same place in Orange.
That's right.
So it had to be something wrong.
Yes, sir.
And most of the people that be saying, well, it's the education and this. Well, you can't count it out, but you got highly educated people that's walking around there in Orange too.
That's true.
See, they not on all of them levels that we mentioned. People that I found this, that people that don't want to accept the reality in life where they are, that want to come up with all kind of excuses for this or for that and all this, and then they find themselves in a dilemma and they don't know how to get out. So they'll go to they think is the easiest way.
Yes, sir.
And that easiest way becomes the hard way because it ends you up in prison.
That's right.
See, and so I talked to guys and everything then and now about the lifestyle that they choose to lead, and you don't put the blame on somebody else because you chose that. And so you have to live that. And then get the wisdom out of this, because this is still life. It don't make no difference where you at, it's still life. And it's wisdom and understanding that has to come from that.
Yes, sir. And
when you receive that right there, you can pass it on to somebody else to help them not to return.
I got
but
you.
Now that I'm out, I'll pass this on and go into much greater depth with individual people to turn them in another direction so they don't be headed for prison.
Yes, sir.
And then that way they don't even have to end up in a halfway house. Because when you get the wisdom of life the way you're supposed to, then you know how to make your way.
Yes, sir.
And you don't look for excuses to blame anybody else, because you step into life every day fully, expecting to overcome whatever obstacle that you face with. And it takes wisdom and knowledge and understanding from a spiritual aspect. If I hadn't had the faith that I still have and will always have in Jesus Christ, I never would have made it.
I'm glad you said that, because it's a good segue to my next question. You have every reason to be bitter, to be angry, to be just mad at the world, the system. Where does that faith and that energy come from? I know you said Jesus Christ. I know you mentioned that, but
yeah.
But brother,
that's right.
1969. I'm just trying to quantify. I'm just trying to wrap my head around all of that. Where does that strength and energy come from?
Yeah, I was a child in 69, 20. That's still a child.
Yeah.
That ain't no man. And I relied on the faith that I heard my grandmother speak about all the time as I was growing up, how she had to pray and ask the Lord to help her to provide for us, for all of her grandchildren that was there. And I remembered that all the time, how that when she would pray and the faith that she had, that she couldn't even see what she was praying for, but she knew that it was going to come.
Yes.
Because she trusted in the Lord. And so when I got in there in them walls and seen all that, and seen how easy it was for people to die behind a pack of cigarettes or any such thing like that, and I'm looking at this and going on, man, and death is all around you and stuff.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I kept hearing what my grandmother was saying, and that kept me going for a certain amount of time. And then the thoughts came in my head, and it was just like the Lord was talking, like me and you talking, saying that was your grandmother's faith. You have to establish your faith in me.
Yes, sir.
And when I did that, I said, okay. And then I learned from studying about Jesus. Now, let me say this here, because I studied up under all these other guys too to see which one had the wisdom that was for me. So I studied up under Confucius and Buddha and Mohammed and these different guys, Rasputin and all of them and stuff. And all of these guys that I studied under, they was always looking for something greater, for a greater light, which means a greater level of knowledge that they didn't have. They was looking for knowledge that surpassed the knowledge of the earth. They looked for that. When I went to studying Jesus, he didn't look for none of that, because he said, I am that. I am the light of the world, means that he has the knowledge that you must need have to overcome any situation that you come involved with. And I stayed with that, and I'm with it right now, and going to forever be with it, because that wisdom, he said it, that Christ is the wisdom and power of God. You can do all things through Christ if you let him in to teach you. This is the only way I was able to get through that. Other than that, I would have been a statistic in there. Something that he done got his head knocked off, or he done had to go up here to PC for protection and all that. Well, see, none of that happened, because my faith was stronger than that. And I'd always said this right here, I will not die in prison.
Yeah, I know. We had a conversation off air. We talked about that. You said I wasn't going to die in prison. So is that what kept the faith and, and the strength going?
That's right, because I've seen how that the Lord was pointing things out to me, and how I would see life. See, because you got to know, and you know to a certain degree, when you come out of your living area, you're supposed to be able to read the yard to know what's going on, because if you don't, you can step right into something and get hurt bad or killed.
That's true.
See, so I was learning this, and I used God's wisdom. Because wisdom always shows you, it gives you enlightenment. So you don't go into nothing blind. And I watched this all through them scriptures and everything, how that every time Jesus went somewhere, the atmosphere where he was changed. Because he had a higher level of wisdom and knowledge than the people that he was dealing with. And I went to hungering and thirsting for that. And lo and behold, it came.
So tell me about the time when the Arizona Project Network reached out to you. AZ, I'm probably saying it wrong. Tell me about the time when they reached out to you.
The Arizona Justice Project.
The Justice Project. When the Arizona Justice Project
reached out to you. I wrote to the people there in New York, the Innocent Program.
Oh, you wrote to them first?
Yeah, to New York, not these. I didn't even know nothing about the ones here. And they sent me a letter, the Innocent Project from there in New York, and telling me that there is one in Arizona that's called the Justice Project.
Justice Project.
Yeah, and Larry Hammond is the one that were doing it. So I sent a letter to him, and he came down and brought about 6 of his students with me.
Now, how long ago was that before you got out?
Oh man, that was 20-some years back.
Wow.
That was at least, that was at least 21, 22 years or more.
Wow.
Yeah, and he brought them down there, and for them to start investigating my case, and stuff, and researching and getting information, to give to the attorneys that was already attorneys then.
Yeah.
And they stayed with me all the time. It was always somebody with that Arizona Justice Project that stayed in contact with me all the time. Because some of them were students.
Yes.
And then some of them was already attorneys. And then some became attorneys.
Wow.
See, and they were staying right there, and they still with me right now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
and they, it's just like that. We're a family because they always calling and checking on me and seeing how I'm doing and everything. And when I got released, it was about 20 or more of them there at the gate. Yeah, to receive me.
To receive you. Wow,
yeah,
that's powerful.
Yeah, and they was right there, and they still there. They stayed with me, and they didn't give up.
Wow. Because
they know that something was wrong.
Something wasn't right.
And they stayed right there off the top. Yeah.
So
and
you said 20 years from the time you contacted them, they contacted you to get the balls in motion. So 20 years. So I'm sure that gave you hope, and I'm sure there was some disappointments along the way.
Yeah, okay, yeah. But see, like, it's different with me, I would be expecting to get something,
Okay.
But when it didn't happen, I didn't let that bog me down and stop me right there and then, because if I had I couldn't have kept thinking clearly the way I needed to think.
True.
And then that would have been showing doubt in the faith that I have in God.
That's true.
See, and I wouldn't let that happen because I know that it was going to get better. I know that He was going to take care of this for me, because I talked to the Lord and prayed and was telling Him, I cannot get out unless you send me a lawyer, one that you send, one that you gonna be dealing with. He sent 6 of them, because it was 6 of them came to, start interviewing me and talking with me and everything. And they stayed, they still right there.
Okay.
And I thank the Lord for them, because they would not give up.
Good.
They said, no, it's something right here. And they kept going. And I told them, look, don't y'all go to feeling bad about anything. Y'all keep doing what you do on this end.
Yes.
And Jesus and me will handle this end here.
Jesus and me, I love it.
And that's right, we'll handle this end.
Tell me how Streets of Joy came into the picture.
That was they come to see me, Tasha and Lindsay.
Okay.
They came to see me just before I was getting ready to go to this last hearing. And Tasha was acting as the person on the board, and so was Lindsay.
Okay.
And they were talking to me about this and coming this way and coming that way, like that right there. And I was telling them right there, I said, it ain't gonna be like that this time, because they was preparing for them to go back into the cases and doing this and all. I said, no, that ain't gonna happen. And then Tasha said, well, when you get released, she was talking about, where are you going? And I was saying, well, I've been talking to the people at New Life, the New Freedom, and because I know the chaplain there and everything. And she told me right there, head up, you're not going there. Tasha said that, said, you're not going there. You're going to Streets of Joy.
Wow.
And that's the first time I'd heard of that. I didn't even know it existed.
Oh, wow.
I said, Streets of Joy. She said, yeah, that's a better place for you.
Okay.
She said, because what you've been doing in prison, you'll be able to do it there.
Exactly.
To help the guys and everything. And I said, yeah. I said, you sure about that? And she said, yeah. And she said, that's where you going. You going to Streets of Joy.
Wow.
And Lindsay chimed right in with her.
Okay.
Said, yeah, and I said, okay. I said, all right. And so when they got me, I got out that day, the 27th of January this year, and they pulled up there to the Streets of Joy.
Yeah.
And there stood a little old man there, big old wide grin on his face and going on, and had never seen him before.
Pastor Jenkins.
Pastor, I'm getting him here, Pastor Eric Jenkins. And boy, he was there, man, just grinning and just grabbed me and just hugged me and told me, he said, I've been waiting for you.
Yeah.
They said, I didn't know you, but you the one I've been waiting for. And he said, when I looked at your record and I seen it like that a man that's done stood up 50 plus years like that, he said, I got to have him.
Yes.
And so they come and he introduced me and everything and all that right there. And
that's when you went Khalil too.
That Khalil right there. And they embraced me just like they had been knowing me all my life.
Yes, sir.
And they still do right down the line. And I said, because I told the Lord, I said, Lord, make my way straight for me when I get there. And he couldn't have made it no straighter than that.
Yes, sir.
A little preacher, Pastor Eric Jenkins, there, standing there just grinning and going on, man. And it's been ever since that day, since I met him.
Yes.
It's been straight up 100% all the way down through that.
Yes, sir.
This man, if you allow him to, he's gonna help you any way that he can.
That is true.
And I give everything that I got.
That's true.
To stand right there with him and to back him up on what he's doing and everything, because I know it is needed.
Yes, sir.
It is a must need for what he is doing.
Yes, sir.
And I'm glad to be a part of that, to help him to do this right here.
Yes, sir.
And I know the way that the Lord brought me and him together,
yes, sir,
it can't fail. It's going to grow and it's going to produce and continue to keep going and producing into everything what God wants it to do.
That's
because
true.
He is following God's lead. I'm following God's lead as well as his.
That's true.
We
met that same day.
Yeah.
That was powerful.
Yeah, wasn't it?
That was powerful when you got out the van. And it's fun because the backstory, I think you heard the backstory, because I was already here at Streets of Joy, because my wife works here at Streets of Joy.
Yeah.
She works under Pastor Jenkins as the director. And I was talking about Khalil. He called me. I said, oh, I meant to call you because we're supposed to work on another project together.
Yeah.
And he says, hey, I'm on my way with Doyle. I'm like, what? I'm like, we were just talking about you.
Yeah.
It was, I can't even explain the feeling. It was so divine. And that's when he said, we'll meet you in an hour. Yeah. And that's when we pulled up. We met you, embraced you, and I was like,
that's right.
There wasn't a dry eye that day.
Sure was.
We was crying. I was like, wow.
Everybody was, man, because see, when God does something, you know the man ain't had nothing to do with it. And that's exactly what happened. Just like that right there.
Yes, sir. It was powerful.
Made the board January the 17th. 10 days later, I'm at the Streets of Joy.
Yes, sir.
See, and you know that had to be a miraculous move done by God through Jesus Christ, because that's not normal.
That's not normal.
See,
I'm still getting chills from that day.
Yeah, and when you make the board, it generally be mainly 30 days or more before you get released.
That's true.
And the Lord brought me 10 days from the 17th to the 27th.
Yeah.
I walked out. I'll never forget that. Another brother of mine, we were sitting there having Bible study like we did every morning there. Come out of the cell and walk right there. There's the day room. We sitting there, and here comes the CO3, and she's training a guy. And she come up, she said, Mr. Williams, I need to talk to you. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, I got this man here in training. Normally I don't do this, but he's in training. I'm showing him how to do this. I said, yes, ma'am. She said, are you ready to go home? I said, yes, ma'am, I sure am. She said, well, get up and go get packed because you got to be out of here by 12. Ooh,
Woo.
man.
Woo.
That hit everything. Because, see, this here is what's so tough about this. Because me and this brother, I'm going to call his name. He don't mind neither.
Okay.
Steve Cook.
Okay.
And he's still there. He's doing a life sentence. And me and him were talking. And I said, man, when Nate brought me them papers it was that Monday.
Yeah.
And for me to sign, the release papers and all that. And I said, well, when is this going to happen? They said that woman said, well, I don't know. And so it came on down. Thursday came. And they hadn't said nothing. And me and Steve both was done said, man, that I was going to leave Friday. And I said that too. And we sat and I said, well, man, Friday's here.
Friday's here.
And Steve said, yeah, but it ain't over yet. And shortly after that was when that woman come and told me to pack up.
Wow.
See, these moves can only happen by God intervening.
Oh, absolutely.
See, and I've always learned this, man. He don't intervene for no fool, because the fool can't do his work.
That's true.
You got to be obedient and faithful to God, man, I'm telling you, to Jesus Christ. That's what got me through in them walls, all them people being killed and going on and all of that. And I've had the question asked me, how did you get through all of that right there? That 40 people was killed, was murdered in 1 year in them 70s in the state of Arizona, and you was in there. How'd you get through all that? I said faith, truth, and trust in God. And when I told them guys, they watched me, they seen me when I was going around through that, starting out on my journey, trying to preach and tell them about the Lord and all that. And they seen me do this every day. And they strictly believe that your word is your bond. Your word, that's all that you have. You are your word and your word is you. And when they were doing this like this right here, they seen me out there doing this every day. So they knew that I was for real in what I was doing, and I wasn't caught up in all that old riff-raff and that junk on the yard. So they rode clear of me on these things when stuff was be going down and all that right there and different other things, man. The Lord had his angels encamped about me. I know he did, because he showed me years later, took me 20 years back and showed me how I could have died several times if he didn't have his hedge of protection up around me. That's why my faith will forever be in Jesus Christ. He's my Lord and my Savior, and he brought the divinity of God inside of me. That's why he changed me, and I never will go back to that way of thinking that I was when I was a young boy. I'm a man of God now and gonna always will be.
Yes, sir.
He raised me up in that penitentiary for this very moment, to come out here where he could receive the glory, where people could see what he has done to me and for me and in me, that he may receive the glory. And that's what he does. Amen. He gets all of it.
Amen.
Don't none come to nobody else. No.
Yes, sir. Amen.
No.
Well, thank you so much for this kind of informal interview. I just want to sit down with you while I was putting together this podcast. Matter of fact, podcast room. So we talked about Streets of Joy, talked about Pastor Jenkins, Khalil. These men are wonderful, but like, I almost called you Pastor Doyle. Whoo! I'm manifesting.
Well, I am a reverend. They call me
Pastor Doyle, Reverend Doyle. Look at that. Look at that. You heard it here first. It's like, Pastor's been so good to me. Like, this is a big room. This is the podcast room that he gifted us with. I can't say me. This is for everybody. So gave me a computer for school, because you all know I'm in school. It's no secret that I was formerly incarcerated too. I only did 2 years total. Nothing compared to what you and these other gentlemen have gone through. You should be interviewing me. So once again, thank you so much for joining this special edition, this special podcast, Beyond the Wall. and I have my special guest, Doyle. We talked about Streets of Joy. You can find the information below, and you can also find information on the Arizona Project, the Justice Project down below as well. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you in another edition. All right, stay fit, stay focused. Bye now.